Hey everyone, and welcome to week 12. This week we are going to wrap up our assessment of the World War II era and period. So hopefully at this point you've got a solid understanding of the central causes of the war. You've now had an opportunity to sort of assess how the war had an impact upon the United States home front, and specifically looking at the way in which the war affected certain groups within the United States. And this week we're going to be looking at two events, both of which are atrocities during World War II. Although I'm not going to argue that the actions taken against the Japanese in the United States, parallels the Holocaust by any stretch of the imagination, but they were both violations for sure. One, I think, more egregious, far more egregious than the other. But this week we are going to be looking at the Holocaust and America's response to the Holocaust. One of the things that pervaded sort of the educational system, at least when I was going to school, was that the United States didn't know that much about what was going on. There was little that we could have done because we didn't know. But the reality is that the United States was aware of the Holocaust. I would not go so far as to say that we knew the totality of the situation. I wouldn't go so far as to argue that the United States knew the extent of the carnage that was taking place, but there were definitely reports that came in from Europe about Jews being killed. There were definite signs that the United States was fully made aware of during the 1930s and early 40s, once the Holocaust began, that persecution was very much part of the Nazi program, and it was being amped up. And eventually the cold pogrom turned into a hot pogrom. And so these things were there. And the United States, in many ways, and not all by the stretch of the imagination, but there were sections of the U.S. government who chose to do nothing. And at times, and this includes the State Department, literally put roadblocks up in the way to keeping Jews from being able to come to the United States. Okay. Now, on the flip side of that, you've got like the Treasury Department and other parts of the government who were aghast at what was going on. And once they uncovered some of these things, they did what they could to try to rectify it. But definitely the United States was aware. And so we're going to be taking a look at that. And then we're also going to be looking at the internment or the concentration of Japanese Americans. Normally they refer to this as the internment. But the truth is that the camps that we put the Japanese into, or the United States did, were concentration camps. By definition, they were concentration camps. One of the reasons why we try not to use that word in today's lexicon as much is because, or not lexicon, but vocabulary, is because when we talk about concentration camps, we immediately think of the Nazis, and that's not what these camps were like. Although there were definite abuses in some of these camps, especially in the segregation center known as Tule Lake, which was located on the California-Oregon border. And of course, there were violations of civil rights without question. Many Japanese Americans who were born in the United States had their civil liberties stripped from them simply because they looked like the enemy. They had not, in fact, done anything. So there were abuses, but not anywhere near to the extent, I would argue, as what was perpetrated against the Jews in places like Dachau or Sobibor or what have you. So, but both of which took place during World War II, and so we're going to be spending this week looking at that. Okay. As always, discussion boards, main post by Thursday, subsequent to another student by Sunday. And then if you have questions, contact me, guys, and let me know. Otherwise, just begin thinking maybe about what you want to do for your second PowerPoint. And, let me know what you're thinking. All right, so otherwise, I will bid you adieu as I always do. So go in peace, be warm and filled. May the force be with you, live long and prosper, and may the odds forever be in your favor. Have a blessed week, guys.